Hi, I'm Hugh. Hugh. My name is Hugh. Your name is Nichola. We are MKH.
Yes. Okay, so today I thought we could do quite a serious topic, and we're going in blind. We have no preparation or anything. So this is like us being vulnerable and being genuine and telling it how it is. The most difficult year of our marriage, I would think, would be mostly last year.
Yeah, last year was difficult. Yeah.
When you have a baby, it is a wonderful, wonderful time in your life, but it also puts a strain on the marriage. So today I wanted to talk about some of the ways that our relationship changed and what we do to make our relationship better, because there's a big difference to, being newlyweds and, everything's great, and then being, 7 years down the track and having a baby. And I would say like the end of 2016, when Yule was just little, there was a few months when he's just little baby. And that was still great. Like I don't feel like this, I feel like the stress kind of came like a little bit later, yeah. So I'd say a lot of last year. And then the other thing that puts stress on people's marriages is work. And you started a job.
Yeah, I got a job in September last year, and since then I didn't have time to, time for you
As much as we would like.
So, even though like my hours quite flexible, but the office is quite far from here. It's like an hour from here, more than an hour. Anyway, when I come home and it's quite late, and I have a meetings in the evening or something, then it's really late all the time like that, even though it was flexible.
So you were freelance, and I was also earning a lot more money because I was doing the webtoon and I had a contract, and my contract finished, and then we sort of transitioned to you actually having a job at a media company, which you still have, but you're probably going to transition to being freelance again, right?
I'm thinking about it. The reason why I thought about this, because like I had a really large meeting. Like you started like not finding me as like close person, even though I sleep with him all the time, and he cried and he
want
mommy
because he's with me more,
and he didn't want to come to me, and like okay, what I'm doing now, like this is not what I want.
Because we do share childcare duties, and usually Yule sleeps in with you so that I get better sleep. Because I know it's very hard for couples where the guy's working and then does none of the housework, doesn't help the wife with anything. Because when you have a job, you still have like a knockoff time. You still have a time where you're not working, but for the parent that's doing all the child raising, there's no time off. But I'm so thankful that you never put me in the position of like that you should do everything and you should be doing this. You do so much stuff, and then you also, take him to daycare in the mornings. You do all like the health stuff, take him to the doctor. You keep track of vaccinations, all that type of stuff. So I feel very lucky in that sense. But even so, it's hard to adjust to having a kid because your life changes so much, right? What are some of the biggest changes to our life since we've had Yule? Besides from all the wonderful, happy, lovely things, what are some of the difficult things?
Always need to think about him first, and it's not a complaining. It's I appreciate it. Like when I go out and need to think about if Nichola is okay or Yuri is okay, and if they had a meal or they are waiting for me, like always thinking about the family.
And that causes tension with us. And if I felt like that you've been out too late, even when it's been work stuff, I can feel very trapped in this apartment. It's a little bit better now, but when the air is very bad and when it's the middle of winter, especially in a small soul apartment, it's not good for my mental health. And then because of that, we can like fight more. And like every couple has disagreements and fights, you know. If a couple doesn't disagree or never has a fight, there's something wrong, because it means that someone is controlling everything and one person can't speak out. Yeah, they can't express their feelings.
Like especially last year was so busy because did so many things happen, and then had this crazy networking. I'm still doing lots of networking, but last year had more because I just got a job and my job was just meeting.
Like I think it's difficult for couples when
and we had a TV show.
Filming when we have to film with things, and then
so many interviews and like I'm not complaining, but because
it puts stress on your relationship when you don't have the time to sit down and talk about your relationship.
Yeah, and also like if you do these things and then you have a lot of payment and you don't need to work for a quite long, it's okay, but you have to do all this filming and all this interview and meeting, and also need to do your work
to be paid
from my job and also YouTube thing.
Yeah,
the whole schedule is like crazy. Still now my schedule is quite like really tough, like tight,
and that's why we've been making some decisions about what do we do so that we have enough family life. Like, you know, it's crazy living in Seoul, and the pace of life is crazy and fast, and the way that business works is stressful like that. So that's why you're thinking about going back to more freelance and building up your career. And I think that's also like there's all these stresses, like so you have a baby, then I can't do my normal work. Like it's very hard for me to get comics out. It's very hard for me to do a lot of things that I want to do. So then I feel like a little bit lacking in my own life, especially if you're a working mom and then you're a working creative mom and then you don't have you can't have the same focus on what you did before, and then you have money stress, and then you're not at a stage in your career where you're like, oh, I've been doing this for 10 years and everything's fine and I just got to go in and do this. It's like you are building your career at the moment.
Yes, and especially me, I mean, I'm not from big university in Korea. I'm not from like really strong family background, or I have nothing, and this is not my hometown. It's Seoul. You know, the biggest competition is going on everyday life. What I can do is networking people and then show people that what I am, who I am, what I can do. So I've been doing this one for like past 2 or 3 years. So I built up so many connections. I can see something I guess because people give me opportunities these days.
Yeah.
So I can show that it's not just
slowly
wasting,
paying off. It's paying off now.
So I really appreciate to Nichola and you that like they trust me and then they support me a lot. And I want to show them that I can do things.
So what do we do when we fight? Like, we can have some big arguments. The neighbors have heard us have some big arguments. I'm so embarrassed about that. But I think we both have a tendency, like when we get angry, but we calm down very quickly. And maybe it was different earlier in our relationship, but neither of us sulk for too long. Like, usually very quickly we've resolved things, and we always try to make a point of like learning something or, you know, understanding something about the moment, so that the argument wasn't a waste of time.
And I think it's also easier than Korean to Korean to understand this kind of situation, because you can always go back to your can be excuse, but like
cultural difference, and then we have to understand each other.
Yeah. So it's like you're shared. Oh, in my culture.
Yeah. But then you got to meet halfway. It kind of forces you to meet halfway.
Yeah, but because even though it's my culture, I can't push you to just do adapt whole my culture. So something in the middle.
Yeah.
When we talk about this one, then the anger is all goes like, like lower, like here, and then like goes down. I think when we are discuss about these
like
things.
our anger levels go down.
Yeah, anger
I
levels
didn't know
go
what you
down.
were talking about.
Not like our life level.
Yeah, I think, and not sulking about things. In relationships, the mood that you put out and like the vibe you're putting out affects everything. And both of us are very capable of, even though we don't realize it, our tone of voice is a certain way and the vibes that we're putting out, we both do the same thing. And then the other person is like, why are you upset? Why are you like this? And then the other person gets upset and angry and then puts bad vibes out as well. And then it often comes to a head and there's a disagreement or a minor argument or a huge argument, but then it de-escalates and then we realize, oh yeah.
And trying to find the solution for it. But 8 years, but still we are finding the solutions.
Is it almost 8 years? It depends when we count from.
Yeah, almost 8 years.
Our marriages. Like our weddings. We had 3 different weddings. So it depends where we count from. Yeah. I think you have to, in a relationship, you have to have a argument strategy. So even if we like blow up and we're, having a big argument, we know that things will be okay in half an hour. Or a little bit later. We know that we'll both calm down and we'll talk about it, and then usually it's just some sort of misunderstanding. So we both make assumptions and then we're both wrong and then we realize that and then it's okay. But I feel like last year there was definite ongoing tension, just because you're sleep deprived a lot of the time, when you have a kid. And so things that wouldn't be a big deal then can become a bigger deal, and you have to focus all your love and attention to your child. And so of course, like, your marriage suffers a little bit, but we sort of talked about it that like at the moment, okay, Yule needs all our love and attention. Yes. So marriage is kind of a little bit on hold at the moment, like the time that we can spend together like that. But I think it was good that we talked about that, so we didn't feel like, oh well, now this is the the beginning of the end of the marriage, or now the marriage just goes downhill. It's like more like just putting a hold while we focus on this until we have more time together. We
already talked about this in the beginning. It's not like me or my son, like it's not you or our son, like who is the most important or something. I mean, they are all important, right? But we know we are adult, but the baby, the kid, they need some attention, and of course we should say they are important. So it doesn't mean who loves you more. You know? It's so. In Korea, it happens a lot. People like ask kids, "Do you love? Do you like mommy more or daddy more?" And I don't like those type of questions. And I hear a lot of women, especially when they're doing all the child care themselves, they say things like, "I would choose my child over my husband," because their marriage is on hold at the moment. The marriage is stagnant at the moment, and so all the energy goes into the children, and I would choose my child. And I understand sort of where they're coming from, especially when they feel like they're not having much help at home, like their husband doesn't do much. All their husband does is like cause more mess. He doesn't respect or understand how much the mother is doing. So I understand a lot of marriages become damaged because of that. And I think for us, we have an ongoing conversation about equality and how it's easier for a man to just not do anything in the home because that's kind of what their society allows them to do, that, right? So we will have an ongoing discussion about that. But I didn't want to end up saying that type of thing, that I choose my children over my husband. I want to feel like a cohesive unit, like we're one team. It's a team. team, and then if there's a member that need to grow up, of course you need to put all the effort into it and then focus on that team member.
Yul is our smallest team member.
Yeah, he is. He needs our help. So that's what we are doing.
I think one of the biggest mistakes couples make is they think having a baby will fix their relationship. Like if their relationship's already not great and they think having a baby will bring more love into the relationship. No, like you get so sleep deprived, you're worried about money, you're worried about time, you have so much stress. Like make sure your relationship is really stable before having a kid. And I think we see a lot in Korea, people tend to have babies right after they get married. And in Korea, it's really normal to date someone for like only 3 months and get married, and then you expect to have a baby right away. So they have like a honeymoon baby, and then that's like within a year you have all these really big, like important events, and you have a baby, but the relationship isn't really solid yet. They don't have a strategy for arguing. They don't have a strategy of how did we talk about these things, and then a mum can. Then the mum is stuck at home with the kid. All the energy goes onto the kid, but then after the kid sort of grows up a bit more, it's hard to reconnect with the husband that you feel like maybe you haven't even had that much time with. And even for us being married for so long and everything we went through to have Yule, because we had to go through IVF, we've been through a lot, which has strengthened our relationship. Even having such a solid relationship where we have argument strategies and we respect and understand each other, you still have rough patches in your marriage. So that's like the reality of marriage. Marriage is really hard work. You have to constantly be working on it, and you can't just brush things under the rug. You can't just be like, you have to address things as they come up, maybe not right at that moment, but something that you know that you're going to have to discuss. And I think some of the worst advice that people have given to you, this is other men of course, have been like, oh, you should just work really hard, your kid won't remember, it doesn't matter, like there's this attitude I think in most countries of men doing work, and then that the men should just work really, really hard for money. Like money's the most important thing, and when your kid's 1 or 2, they're not going to remember anyway. No, Yul remembers. Like especially me and Yul went to Australia, and he missed you during that time. He couldn't see you for 2 weeks, and he went at the airport. He hugged you so hard.
Actually, I don't really read lots of books, but one time Hyunwoo from Talk to Me in Korea, he introduced me one book called One Thing, and I read that book. Some part I remember that you can be rich later, but the time with your son or your daughter, the moment never gonna, even you pay $1 billion, you can't go back to the time again. So it's how important that is, and that person is already success, and he's really rich, but he can't. He just regret that he didn't spend time with his son or his daughter, his child. Like
it's such a fleeting moment. Soon there'll be teenagers and don't even want to talk to you, don't want to see you, especially if you didn't pay attention to them when they were young.
Yeah, so I want to make the bonding like really strong when they're young. Even though I'm not rich, I think for me it's more valuable to spend time with him than just making lots of money like ATM machine. That's not my life. If I just want to work a lot, I would just stay in Australia and have 2 or 3 jobs. I could make a lot more money than here.
I knew how hard parenting was before I had a kid. Like I understood that. I wasn't like, oh, when I'm a parent it's going to be super easy because I'm just going to be like this. But there's a difference between understanding that and then actually living it. I was very well aware of how difficult it would be, but it's until you go through that then you realize actually how hard it can be. And especially for me, I have chronic fatigue syndrome, so that plays into my tiredness levels even more. But I feel like so many problems you have in sort of the first year that you have a child is just down to sleep deprivation. Like if you had a nanny or something and you could just get like a full 8 hours of sleep every night, I'd think half or like 90% of marriage problems would go away. Why do kids think 6 o'clock or 5:30 is a good time to wake up? Why?
So in conclusion, otherwise we can't finish this one.
We could just talk about stuff forever. Okay, so in conclusion, like last year was like the hardest year of our marriage. You know, maybe there'll be harder years in the future, but so far I feel like we've had a relatively easy marriage. Like we work very hard on our marriage, but we also have an easy, comfortable marriage. But last year was difficult. But I feel like we've kind of got over that. And I feel like when reoccurring issues come up, like we know how to deal with things now.
And actually we can also make more videos like advice. Like
people have questions.
Yeah, raising the bilingual baby, you know, the
intercultural bilingual
baby in Korea.
Yeah.
And all these things, like, you know, we did IVF, what you need to do, like we can just separate like so many each videos so people can easily find information, and then advice for the marriage, how you can still love each other, but you can, you know, still love your child as well. So we can make more videos like that. So if you're interested in
leave a comment,
kind of things, just leave a comment. And yes, that's it for now.
Another problem is when you're hangry in a relationship, and I'm getting hangry now, so my face looks like this. I just need to go eat something.
We can make
a video about being hangry. In conclusion, there's no problem in your marriage, you're just sleep deprived and hangry. The end.
Yes.
Okay, subscribe to us if you haven't already. Click the bell icon. Check out the social media, and there's comics on our blog as well, and we'll see you later. Bye.
Bye. If you like this video, share with your friends and other couple who has baby and other thing. Why?
Oh, you never stop talking.
Who you are talking? Who are you talking about now? You never stop.
You never stop talking.
You never
stop talking.
I'm a very quiet person. I don't really talk.
You're still talking now.